Hey there everyone, I'm Don, Professor Goway, and welcome to the GowayPro Travel Tales Podcast. Travel far and travel often. The GowayPro Travel Tales Podcast. Let's do that again.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, welcome to the GowayPro Travel Tales Podcast. Something a little bit different. Again, I keep saying that because we want to make it different every time, but this one is a little bit more. We're going to do two of these actually because coming up in the near future, we have some fam trips going to Thailand and to Kenya, and two of our account managers are going to be leading those particular fams. And the one we're going to discuss today is a fam to Thailand, and we're going to speak to Rajesh, who's our national Canadian sales manager, and as a lead into the next one. The next one will be with Ian Smythe, who's our US national sales manager. He's going to Kenya. You're being Rajesh on camera.
I'm going to Thailand.
Everyone,
yes.
if you haven't met Rajesh, here he is. Most of you know him. You talk to the camera over there.
I talk to the camera over there. Okay. Yeah.
He's our Canadian national sales manager. Who are your main accounts that you handle? We just did a video for TTA&D, Travel Agent Next Door. Who else is
Travel Agent Next Door, Travello, Travel Savers, CAA, TDC, Maritime Travel. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody because there's quite a few of them, as well as basically everybody from Manitoba onwards all the way to Newfoundland. So if you're not a preferred account,
East Coast-ish or eastern side of Canada, and our west side representative or account manager is Jason Stratford. Yeah. Do you know his accounts or some of the key ones off the top of your head?
Well, so he's got Ensemble, he's got Expedia Cruises. I'm trying to think. He's got AMA in Alberta, and then
we may be missing a few. And it's just,
I think we might be missing a few.
We're not missing any.
And then obviously anything Saskatchewan all the way to BC.
Yeah. And of course, Jason will jump in saying, "You forgot to mention this one and this one and this one."
Oh yeah, I'm expecting a phone call from him right now. Probably is.
There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do here in these two podcasts, but this one in particular today, is both Rajesh and Ian have not been to their respective fam destinations. In your case, Thailand. Yeah. So I want to do like a before and after perspective on what you think you're going to see and experience, and what your expectations are. So let's start with the obvious question, which is what we do. You haven't been to Thailand before, have you?
No, I have not.
Have you been to Asia before?
No, I have not.
Oh, you've not?
No, I mean,
technically
speaking, if you think, well, Jordan's technically speaking Middle East.
Well, that's Middle East. That's not Asia.
That's Middle East. Yeah. That's not Asia.
So
Turkey, Istanbul,
Middle East.
On the other side of the Bosphorus. Well, I don't know. That's debatable.
Well, it's the Asian continent.
Technically speaking, Asia. Yeah, exactly.
But I think in the world of travel,
nothing like that. No, nothing like Thailand or anything in that area.
Yeah.
No.
So really, I guess it gets the fine distinguisher between when you get into sort of Afghanistan, Pakistan, you're heading into the Asian region. But I think from a travel point of view, it's considered to be India across to Japan. Yeah. Excluding Russia, which is to a little bit to the north, but you have China, of course, and then anything down south, down to Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia type of thing. So you've done none of those before? Wow.
Never been in that area, no.
Okay, so it's not only Thailand's not only going to be new to you, the whole Asia vibe will be new to you.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. And I'm honestly looking forward to that because again, I've never been. So that's one thing that I'm really, really looking forward to. You know, if you talk to our colleagues in the Asia team, in reservations or some of the product managers, I mean, you talk to Linda and she's all over Thailand, right? So there's definitely that anticipation there, and I hope that you know, how should I say this, the promise or the expectation is going to be met, and I'm sure it will be. You know, it's one of those. Interestingly enough, I think I walk into these fam trips into destinations that I've never been to with a very open mind, or at least I try to, you know, and I think that it's really interesting. Because I'm certain that what I think it's going to be like and what it is actually going to be like are going to be very different things. But I'm also thinking that it's going to be much more amazing than I think it's going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think I just came back from South Africa with my kids and talking to Moira, who looked after Africa prior to her now looking after Asia. Yeah. For those who don't know, our VP of the Asia department is Moira Smith, and she used to look after historically Africa here at Goway. But she helped me arrange my Africa trip. And I said to her when I got back, I said, like, doctors are the worst patients, travel professionals are the worst travelers, because I forgot certain things, or not so much forgot, didn't look into them in any depth. Because to your point, I've been to Africa before, been to South Africa, but I also wanted the trip. I didn't want to research it to death and know every single angle. I wanted to be surprised, which I was. So I think to your point of, yes, you hope the expectations live up to everything that everyone talks about, because Thailand is probably one of the most popular Asian destinations. Well, I know it is for a fact.
For sure.
I think at the moment for us, it's Japan is the top seller.
Yes.
But I think close second is Thailand, because it is so diverse. But yeah, I think having been there a few times, I think you'll find it, you'll get what you expect because you've heard so much about it. Yeah. And then you will be absolutely blown away by other aspects of it, which is like any country, hopefully. So it's sort of counterintuitive to what Goway's about. Come to us, let us design every little minute of your day, so to speak, in detail. But we're now saying, hey, go with an open, well, always go with an open mind, but maybe at least some things unplanned, so to speak. Okay. So what's your itinerary in broad strokes? Unless you know it in a bit more detail.
Not necessarily. I mean, I do have it on my phone right now, but in a nutshell, we're flying into Bangkok, spending about 3 nights in Bangkok, spending a couple of nights then in Chiang Mai, and then going down to Phuket.
So for those who don't know, basically Bangkok is generally in the middle of Thailand, Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, which you're not. Are you doing Chiang Rai or just Chiang Mai?
Chiang Mai.
Just Chiang Mai. It's the north, and Phuket and many other beach areas are in the south. So as I said, Jesse, you came into the studio, you're doing top to bottom.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just start. Okay, do you know who you're flying with?
So I'm flying EVA Airways into Taipei and then connecting from Taipei to Bangkok.
So you're going Toronto, Taipei direct?
Toronto, Taipei.
How long's that flight?
Yes. It's like 15 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Trust me. Yeah, that's the one part of the trip that I'm not necessarily looking forward to. But, you do understand that it takes that many hours to get to where you want to be.
It's literally the other side of the world.
Exactly. It is literally the other side of the world. Funny enough, actually, my wife and I had talked about going to Thailand over Christmas this year. And I remember I had a chat with Linda about it. And then we kind of decided against it just because I'll be honest with you, the cost of air during that time was through the roof. So that was one aspect. But the other thing was it was really not enough time for us to go to Thailand with the kids over Christmas and New Year's, just because my son's, break from university.
Oh, yeah, he's in university,
is not that long. So we kind of postponed that, and we're going someplace else. But
where are you going?
Well, we're going to Spain.
Back to Europe.
Back to Europe.
For those who don't know this, his history in the business, and I think his passion.
Yeah, it is Europe. It is definitely that. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it as well. But we're not going to talk about it now because we're going to mess up the Thailand podcast here. Yeah. So it's EVA Air, and then obviously coming back Phuket to Bangkok, Bangkok to Taipei, Taipei back to Toronto. So it is going to be a long flight, but at the same time, you know what? I've heard good things about EVA Air. I've never flown them before.
Okay.
So travel advisors that I kind of spoke to, and then people within the Goway organization said that this is probably the best. And it has some really good connections as well, which is important because I don't want to spend, I'm flying like 15 hours and then spending 6-7 hours connecting somewhere. I don't want that. I want like a quick 2-hour connection, go to customs, and then basically go on my next flight, and that's it. So that's exactly what's happening here, and it's great. I do leave at 1:45 a.m. from Toronto, which is not ideal.
Not ideal,
but at the same time,
if you can sleep on a plane, then you can pretty much
board and then sleep anywhere. That's not a problem.
Yeah, because I did a fan with Goway a couple of years ago to Thailand, and I can't remember who we flew with, to be perfectly honest, but we didn't invite Japan. And to your point of the layover, it was literally get off the plane, shuffled through security back onto another plane. Yeah, it was, again, it's a long way, and this is now, again, of course, most travel professionals out there know that a FAM is not a holiday. You're there to learn, and they are generally shorter than what would be recommended. So to your point of an individual or a family, in general, going to that side of the world is a long way to go. So you want to give yourself, this is just nothing to do with the FAM per se, but like South Pacific, Asia, you want to at least go for at least 2 weeks because of the time to get to and from is such a drag. Okay, so again, we'll talk about what you went through on your return, but just in a nutshell, what are your expectations of Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and then Phuket? Based on what the itinerary has built in for you. Yeah,
really interesting. Well, to be honest with you, I really don't know what to expect. Like, that's one of those things. I really, like I said, I try to go with an open mind into every single trip that I take, whether it's my first time to a destination or my 20th time to a destination. So that's the one thing that I try to do.
Like, is there anything? When I went to South Africa this time, one thing I'd never really done was seen a cheetah up close. I was able to tick that off. Is there a site in Bangkok, Chiang Mai or Phuket that you want to do, or an experience that you really want to tick off the list, so to speak?
I mean, yes, of course. Listen, I'm a guy. I like my James Bond movies, right?
You want to do James Bond Island?
We are going to James Bond Island, and that's going to be fantastic. I'm really, really looking forward to that. And but I just think overall, for instance, I've heard a lot about the night markets, and so we're doing that in Bangkok. So I'm really looking forward to that. Never really stepped foot into anything remotely resembling a temple, for instance.
Oh, you haven't? Well, you've done churches in Europe, obviously.
Yes, obviously, but not
the Buddhist temple.
Yeah, not the Buddhist temples.
Exactly.
So that I'm really looking forward to. And it's funny because from my perspective, it's almost like it's not really the religious aspect of it. It's almost like the history of that religion and how it evolved and how it came to be and things like that, whether it's going to be Buddhism, whether it's going to be Christianity, whatever. So it's going to be really interesting.
And you'll generally have, with Goway, you have excellent guides. Both times I've been recently, one for a wedding, one for the fam, is our guide was actually an ex-monk.
Okay.
So what, I don't want to get too much away.
Didn't know you could be an ex-monk.
That's what I didn't know either. So when you're down there, I don't want to give anything away for you or for the audience, but have a word to your guide, be he or she even. Well, not she is an ex-monk. I don't think females can be monks. I could be wrong on that one. Anyway, speak to your guide about, the actual process of being a monk and then maybe not being a monk. That was interesting in itself. Yeah.
So there's definitely a few things that I'm looking forward to.
Are you a beach person?
I am and I'm not. I like the beach. I like a good beach. I also get bored out of my mind after about 2 days on the beach. Like I need to do stuff.
Can you sit there and read a book for 2 days on a lounge chair type
definitely,
thing? Is that your
definitely.
Vibe,
Yeah, I can. Again, it's very different. I believe in the sense that if I'm traveling with other people, it's different than traveling with my family, right?
Of course, yeah.
So I think this time around, I do believe that our last day in Phuket is actually a free day. So I am, I'm definitely, going to enjoy having a bit of R&R because it would have been by that point, it would have been a few long days. Yes.
How long is the fam? Actual on ground when you hit Thailand?
Yeah. So I'm leaving on the 27th of September from Toronto, and that's again early morning, 27th of September, and then I am coming back, landing in Toronto on the evening of the 7th of October. So that's about 10 days. 10 days. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
Are you a shopper? Do you like to shop, or do you like to buy things for your wife?
I do like to buy things for my wife. It actually keeps me in her good books. Yeah. Just again, the fall is a very busy time for all of us. So, I know that if I can make up for my long absence from home with a bit of with a gift for my
bribery,
after 20 years, I think she's kind of like used to it by now. So, but yeah. I do like to do a bit of, not necessarily shopping, like in the sense of going back to like going to a mall or anything like that and buying my wife like a super expensive gift or whatever. So I think that's not the case, but maybe buying her something traditional and try not to find the kitschy stuff, because that's one thing that you're going to be inundated, I think, no matter where you go.
Yeah, well, that's what I was leading to with things that you can do in and around Thailand, and the night markets. Just for the local food on itself, because you're a foodie too, you'll love that.
Yeah.
Also, naturally, it goes without saying, photography is awesome in Thailand. But yeah, there's some beautiful artwork down there. There's some like very light summer pants I bought for my wife, which are everywhere, but cheap to buy, that type of thing. So yeah, again, I know we're getting sort of off the Thailand subject here, but just in general, when you travel, I like to always buy one really nice piece. I like to collect memories of my travel. That's just me. Some people don't. And that's cool. Are you like that? Do you do you come back with a bit of artwork or something that meant something to you from the trip, or are you you just buy stuff for your wife and your kids just to keep them happy, so to speak, as you mentioned?
Artwork, I don't know that I've ever bought like artwork in terms of coming back with a painting or anything like that. I don't think that I've ever done that. You know what? I know my wife loves jewelry, but in the sense that I'm not gonna again go walk into a Tiffany store or go to the duty free stores in the airport in Bangkok and buy like a super expensive whatever Louis Vuitton bag for her. I think if I can find a pair of earrings, for instance, that would be kind of funky, kind of like traditional sort of earrings, that would be something that she would appreciate. I tend not to buy things for myself. That's the funny thing. I really don't tend to buy things for myself. And then sometimes I'm like, hey, man, I should have bought that. But I mean, very, very seldom do I buy things for myself. And then, interestingly enough, when it comes to my kids, you got 3 boys. Like shopping for a 19-year-old boy is really the worst thing that you can do. Like I don't think I've ever had anything like the hours I've spent on FaceTime with my son when I'm in various places and just showing him anything from T-shirts to and he's like, and they're like, screw it, just then hang up because
I went through that. Where,
it's a lost cause.
Yeah, when they were probably coming, I've got them spanned over about 5 or 6 years. When the oldest was coming into his like late teens, early 20s, it was like my wife, and they would say, don't buy another T-shirt.
Yeah.
We don't want any more T-shirts.
Yeah, definitely.
But what was interesting is I found, at least for my older boy in particular, the other two sort of like this, but he then started, can you buy me a shot glass?
Yeah.
Not so much to drink, but he wanted
just to have,
So he just moved out recently, and we were in his room the other day cleaning it out, and there's like a collection of like 40 shot glasses from all over the world.
So you're like, hey, listen, we should put this to good use.
Yeah, we should, okay, so shopping's not on the top of your list, though, is something that you'll look at. Beach time, James Bond Island. What about in the north? Is there anything up there? Like, well, let me rephrase this. Have you done any research, so to speak, to say, when I go to Chiang Mai, I didn't know that was there, I want to see that?
Yeah.
Or again, are you just sort of want to be surprised?
I want to be surprised, to be honest, and I haven't really done a lot of research. Again, more about Bangkok than probably anything else, just because you hear about Bangkok, you read about it. So that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to. Chiang Mai, not so much. I'm going to be honest. I'll probably look into it before we leave. I'll at least like go on Wikipedia and read about it. On a 15-hour flight or something like that. But I also kind of want to be surprised because I think, again, you go into these things and you have a certain idea of what's going to happen, and then what happens at the end of the day is very, very different. And again, going back to my New Zealand fam, which I'm sure you've all been, like, just shut up, Radosh, with New Zealand.
There's an in-joke here within the company.
Yes, exactly.
When Radosh did his New Zealand fam, how long ago was that? 5 years?
It goes like, 2 years ago. 2 years ago now. 2023, I think it was.
2023. Anyway, he came back raving about New Zealand, and we will give him grief because he. Sorry.
So but that was one of those things exactly like that. Like I walked into that fam trip not knowing necessarily what to expect, and again, I was blown away, and I think I'm looking forward to having the same kind of experience this time around. So definitely, certain things, or you read and you sort of, but pictures don't do it justice. Reading about it doesn't do it justice. I'm sure that, for instance, the atmosphere of a night market is going to be unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. So definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to some authentic, cuisine and getting some spicy food in my system because I love me some spicy food.
You'll get lots of spicy food down there if you so choose, and if you're not a spice person, which I'm not, you can ask for it to be not spicy.
And I love a good beer to chase down the spiciness. So I'm sure sing a beer. Yeah, that's something that I'm. If I can find it in Toronto, I actually do.
You'll find it down there.
So I will find it down there. Yeah.
No,
so that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to.
And of course, one thing that I think anyone will know about and want to partake in is a Thai massage. I assume that's on your list somewhere.
To be honest with you,
are you a massage guy? I'm gathering by that sort of response. Not really. It's not your thing.
Who's listening to this?
Everyone's listening
podcast.
To this. Probably your wife as well. So
so that's I'm probably going to take the Fifth Amendment on that one. You know what? Never really thought about it from that perspective. Interestingly enough, even though we were making like rude jokes before the podcast started, but no, not necessarily. I think. What I'm really looking forward to, though, is I'm looking forward to seeing the reaction of the people that I will be traveling with.
Which leads me to my question. Who is, how many other agents are going?
So we got 3 agents that are coming with us, and then we got 2 staff from Goway that are coming as well. Okay. So it's going to be a small fam trip, but I do enjoy that because at the end of the day, I believe it just leads to better connections and it leads to, better interactions between the travel advisors and basically you and everybody else. And so I'm really looking forward to that. The interesting thing was that Again, going back to the New Zealand fam, it was something that people still rave about. Actually met one of the travel advisors who was with me in New Zealand just last week in Vancouver Island, and she still raves about it, which is great because, they do get to go on a lot of trips. They do get to go on a lot of fams. And I think once travel advisors understand how many things and Goway can help them out with, and how many things can we arrange for their clients, they're just like, oh my God, like, again, a recurring theme during that fam trip was, so this is not just for us. Goway's offered this to our clients. It's yes, everything that we're doing right now
is what a client
can arrange, can see and can be, and so I think that is something that I really enjoy because a lot of the fam trips and talking to travel advisors, some of those fam trips, you obviously want to impress the travel advisor, but then that's not something that's available to the clients. Whereas I think we do a great job of saying, listen, this is exactly how your clients are going to travel. This is exactly what they are going to experience. So having that experience firsthand, being able to show some photos from a night market, for instance, to clients who are thinking about going to Thailand and telling them, hey, this is what I've done. This is where I went. This is the hotel that I've stayed at. It just makes a lot of sense. And speaking of that, I love, for instance, the fact that while the properties where we will be staying at, which are fantastic properties, by the way, but the properties that we will be staying at, are going to want to show us around the property, which is great, which is part of a fam trip, and it's great. We are really not the kind of fam trip where we're going to take them to 20 different hotels in one day, and then everything becomes blurry and people don't really know what they've watched or seen or anything like that. So I really enjoy that part of it because at the same time, you see 2-3 properties, and you're going to be like, oh, okay, this is where I want my clients to stay, and now I understand why, and I think that's great.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's something we've worked over the years. For those who might want to join us on a fam in the future, and there are many different ways you can take advantage of that, which your account managers can fill you in on. But we've avoided over the top site inspections because, as you said, it turns into a blur.
It does.
But again, from Goway's point of view, yes, accommodation is important. No argument there. But we're sending you, or you are sending your clients, and we're helping you send them to these exotic destinations. We want you, as an agent on a Goway fan, to exactly what you said, to experience what your clients can experience to see the Goway way. So on that note, 'cause we've got to save some time for your return from Thailand. Where you'll talk.
Don't spill the beans.
Don't spill the beans, and you'll probably talk our ear off like you did with New Zealand, which is exactly what we want to hear as well.
Yeah.
So you're out of here. So we're recording this. What date is this?
Today is the 5th.
5th of September. So you're offering about 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Just under.
Oh God, there's so much. You know what? It's funny enough you say that, but between now and then, I got so many other things that I'm doing and so many other places that I'm traveling to that I will tackle this on the 26th of September. You know what I mean?
I hear
like
you.
That's how it's gonna happen. People always ask me like, when do you pack? I pack the day when I travel. Like I really don't pack before then. I don't make a plan. It's one of those. And again, I think I will make an educated guess and say I'm traveling carry-on because that's how I always travel. Really? So I don't really want to have to schlep a luggage with me. That's the one thing that it's a warm destination as well.
It's
right?
a warm
so
destination.
It's not
I take more
really
so you can buy stuff to bring home. But again, most Goway trips will include baggage handling services as well. So keep that in mind. But I'm half like I if you ask my wife, I pack weeks ahead as in I start laying stuff out.
You do?
Yeah, because I know I'll forget stuff. But like I just put it on a table somewhere, right? Just add to it, then I pull stuff out, whatever. Yeah. But I don't, if I particularly like you've got travel coming up, I don't think about the actual trip literally until the last task is done.
Yeah.
And if that's the day before, then I'll think about the trip. If it's a week before, I think about the trip. Because if I start thinking about it now, I forget something I got to do now. And
I know exactly what you mean. And you know what? One of the things that I say is that as long as I have my wallet and my phone with me, then I'm good. Everything else can be bought. So it's one of those. Like
I'm the same too. I'm the same. Like
you forget something, that's fine.
Yeah, phone, passport, and in my case, or my camera gear. If I forget anything after that, you can buy it. So, okay, mate. I look forward to speaking to you.
I was going to tell you something actually, and I know this is like this is not an X-rated show, and it's not supposed to be. be,
Yeah,
but
okay,
it's
careful.
funny enough. Like,
I can beep it
no.
out.
Just quick story about
Yeah.
like traveling and all of those things. Went to Calgary once, and actually I forgot to pack underwear, but that's just funny enough, right? So I realized when I got to my hotel room. So then I got into the car and then went to
Went for a
Winners
drive.
and bought underwear
Yeah,
for
there you
myself.
go.
Like, stuff like that will at the end of the day happen, and it's like, listen, it is what it is. But yeah, like I said, as long as you have your wallet and your phone, you're good to go. Anything else can be purchased.
100%. What can't be purchased is going to be a really soppy way to end this. What can't be purchased is the experiences that you'll have in Thailand. That is, well, I guess you're buying a trip. Maybe I correct myself. The memories you're going to come back with will be amazing, which you can't put a value on. Let me put it that way. So we look forward to hearing about your experiences in Thailand on your return, how wonderful Thailand is, and of course, how wonderful Goway is for arranging travel experiences.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm looking forward to talking to you in probably about a month or so time.
Yeah, so this
more
will
or
probably
less,
air.
yeah.
We're recording on whatever you said, early
5th
September.
of September, yeah.
This will probably air November-ish time. So it doesn't matter to you listening now because you're listening to it now. Whatever.
Yeah,
We're just
exactly.
talking.
There
We'll
you go.
talk to you soon.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks Don.
mate.
Bye.
We'll join our regularly scheduled program after these messages.
We now return to our regularly scheduled programming.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the after part of our podcast with Radesh, the before and after podcast. You'll probably notice if you were paying attention in the first part, in part one, that when Radesh and I were talking pre his trip to Thailand, we were in the Goway studio. As you can see now, we are both definitely not. I'm actually in Mexico working from home, and Radesh is in Toronto working from home, literally. And we were just discussing the differences in weather. It's to my right, I see the ocean. Literally, it's right by my doorstep. Birds flying, 28 degrees at 9 o'clock in the morning. And Radesh was saying in Toronto, he has what's the forecast coming up, buddy?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, so let's just say snows in the forecast
There
this week.
is some snow in the forecast, Don, unfortunately. Yes, and let me just say that if I'm looking to my left, I'm definitely not looking at birds flying, and I can tell you that it's not 28 degrees outside. Maybe Fahrenheit. I think that would probably be a lot closer to reality.
A lot closer?
Yeah.
No, I'm very lucky. And my wife is flying down tomorrow. We're recording this on a Thursday. She flies down tomorrow, so she's going to escape the upcoming Toronto weather. But we're not here to talk about Mexico nor Toronto cold and miserable weather. We are here to talk about, or actually hear from Radesh, and I'm going to leave this pretty much to him, to give us his after impressions of his time in Thailand. So, Radesh, when we first spoke, it was, probably a week or two before you flew down?
Something like that, yes, I think. Yeah, about 2 weeks, I want to
and
say.
it's now burning. And you've been back for how long? A couple of weeks again?
No, about a month, I want to say right now. Yeah, I was back on the
that long.
7th of October. Yeah, back on the 7th of October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and we've both been busy. Radesh has been on the road as always, speaking to our partners out there, you guys. And he was our MC at our Africa and Middle East show recently in Vancouver and Calgary.
Yep.
So let's hear it. Like, what were your thoughts, like, being in Thailand and coming back? Like, did it knock your socks off? Were you disappointed? Did you learn things you mightn't have been expecting? Regale us.
Yes, I will definitely tell you that I did learn a lot about Thailand, and I think I had mentioned this in our previous episode of the the podcast, that I didn't really know what to expect. So the idea is for me to walk into all of these destinations and all of these trips with an open mind. It was definitely, there were things that I expected and there were things that I did not expect. Let's just put it that way. There definitely no disappointments whatsoever. I think Thailand is a fantastic destination. I think that it is and a lot of people had told me this before I left, that it is a very sort of soft introduction into Asia. And so I definitely recommend it to everybody. I think it's a great destination. The hotels that we had stayed at, and these are properties that we are using for Goway customers. So it's not just something that we did for, to impress the travel advisors. These are properties that we are using on a consistent basis for our clients. The properties were fantastic all over the place. And so that was one of the things that I really, really enjoyed. The food is really, really amazing. And I thought initially, I love Asian food in general, and I'm sort of think of myself as being open-minded when it comes to cuisine. I thought, am I going to be like, you know, uh, I, fed up with pad thai and things like that. The reality of it is that different parts of Thailand have different, influences and different cuisines, so to speak. So there is definitely something for everybody. And of course, if you're looking at, you're a person who's not very adventurous from a culinary standpoint, there's also a lot of European, let's say, or Western, I should say, probably options available to you. So that's really not a problem. Definitely not going to go hungry in Thailand. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I think the ubiquitous McDonald's, that type of thing, or Burger King equivalents are all over the place. For
Yeah,
memory
they
as well.
are. They
So
are,
as
and,
you
and
say,
I've stayed away from that stuff. But obviously,
yeah, of course, yes, of course,
if if push comes to shove, and you're like, I really need a burger, like, yeah, that's an option there. Now, in terms of sightseeing, I thought this was very interesting because different parts of Thailand offer so many different things, and I thought, when we went,
just before
yeah.
you, sorry to interrupt. Just before you get into the sightseeing, can you just remind everyone what your itinerary was? What were the city stops that you
Flew
did?
into Bangkok, spent 3 nights in Bangkok, 3 nights in Chiang Mai, which is about another hour north of Bangkok flying time, and then from Chiang Mai went down to Phuket, and that's about a 2 hour flight, I want to say. And then from Phuket
Mm-hmm.
we went back home. And I gotta tell you, before I even start with Thailand, I flew from Toronto to Taipei and then Taipei to Bangkok. That airport in Taipei has got to be one of the funkiest airports I've ever seen in my life. It
Oh,
was
really?
so funny because, the airport itself doesn't seem big, but that's because it's on 2 levels. And interestingly enough, again, that was like a 14-15 hour flight that I was, from
Yeesh.
Toronto. So yeah, I mean, it's not a short flight, but at the same time, once you land in Taipei, it is so funny because every gate, at least from what I can tell, every gate had a different theme. So every gate had like a Pokemon theme, and then like obviously they're crazy about their anime and stuff like that all over Asia. So it was actually super funny. It's the only place that I can see that you can buy a massive Pikachu, basically just before you board your flight. So, it was really interesting. I'm thinking like, man, what do I do with this thing? Like, even if I buy it, like, how do I transport it? But obviously, you can do stuff like that in Taipei. So I thought that was actually really cool. Lots of options in the airport. We had about a 2.5 hour layover, which is perfect. And the airport is very, very well organized in Taipei. Very, very well put together. Very simple to navigate. There's really signs in English all over the place, so there is absolutely no way you can get lost, even if you try. And so that was definitely something that I really appreciated. And lots of options for food. Lots of options that I thought that was really, really nice, especially again after a 15-hour flight. I just wanted to grab a coffee and something to eat because it was like, I want to say something like 6, 7 in the morning when we landed, something like that, maybe even
Right.
earlier than that. Yeah. So I definitely needed a bit of a jolt of coffee in my system. But yeah, once
Who was the carrier that you flew with? Who was
Eva
the carrier?
Airways.
Who did you fly with?
Eva.
Eva Airways.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Lovely. You know what?
Wally.
Nice plane. Nothing bad to say about it. Again, massive plane. It was a 777, if I remember correctly. So that was definitely a big plane. Lots of staff on board. Lots of flight attendants available, and I thought that the service, the quality of the food that they served on board, and everything, the attention to everybody was quite impressive. So
That's good.
I really
Excellent.
enjoyed that. Yeah, both ways. And then inside Thailand, we flew Thai Airways, which is again a great carrier. And I'll stop talking about airlines because that's not the point of our conversation here, Don. But one of the things, for instance, that I was impressed with coming back from Phuket, we flew Phuket to Bangkok, Bangkok to Taipei, Taipei to Toronto. So in Taipei, we had our flight, I want to say, no, sorry, our flight from Bangkok to Taipei was delayed by about an hour. And so we were at the gate waiting to board our flight from Bangkok to Taipei, and Eva Airways had snacks prepared for everybody, drinks, just to make sure that, while we're waiting, passengers are, as comfortable as possible. Yeah, I looked after. So I thought that was, I've never seen any other airline do that. Certainly, unfortunately, not in North America. So I thought that was, this is something that we could all, take advantage of, and obviously something that we can all learn from. Because at the end of the day, it is a
maybe
level
other
of service.
Airlines, yes.
Yeah, exactly, and hospitality. I'm not going to point fingers here, but we're going to leave it at that thought. So that was definitely really, really nice. So again, Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Phuket. Bangkok, definitely a large city. I think you can tell, from the moment you land, because you see the sprawling sort of like city of Bangkok. Beautiful city. Interestingly enough, we stayed very close to a really nice park. Very, very close to that. And so you could sort of like either walk everywhere if you really wanted to in that downtown core. The other thing that is very popular, obviously, is just getting a tuk-tuk and, being driven in a tuk-tuk. That was quite the experience. One evening we did a night market and culinary sort of drive around Bangkok in tuk-tuks. And interestingly enough, those guys go on the highway. So if you are looking for a bit of an adrenaline rush,
for sure,
that is for you.
Highway or not,
it's one of those things, though. I think everybody has to kind of do that. What I also liked as well was the fact that our guides everywhere we went were really, really nice, really, really, savvy, and they tried to not do too much, which I think is a great sort of attribute for a guide. Sometimes I find that, you go to some of these places and everybody wants to offer you as much information as possible. Then it comes from a good place, obviously. But I just think that sometimes I just need to be left alone for 5 minutes to digest what it is that I'm looking at. Without somebody telling me, spitting all of these facts and all of these numbers that may or may not mean, anything to, to the travelers. And so I think that it was a very nice blend of, information that we were provided to get an idea of what it is that we're looking at, to get an understanding of the history and culture of Thailand. But at the same time, again, not feeling like you're in school and you're, thrown 20 different, again, dates and things and facts at you. And then you're like, oh, is this a test at the end? One of those. So I really appreciated that. I also really appreciated the fact that...
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Were any of your guides throughout Thailand, if they were male, were they ex-monks, any of them?
Yes, actually, the guide in Chiang Mai, yes. But the way it was explained to us was that monkhood, is that a word in English? Monkhood, I think.
I'm not sure if it's the correct term, but
all right.
I think we know what you mean. Yep.
Yes. So being a monk in Thailand is not necessarily something that you look at, on a permanent basis. It's not unusual for people to go and be monks for a certain period of time and then go back to a regular life, so to speak. Whereas I believe if you become a monk in, in Catholicism or Christian Orthodox religion, it's kind of like a for life, basically.
It's a lifetime commitment.
It's a lifetime commitment, yes, normally, yes. Yeah. So it was explained to us, which was very interesting, that our guide in Chiang Mai, actually, a really nice guy, Nit. His name is obviously longer, but he told us to call him Nit. We're going to butcher his name, obviously. So Nit was telling us that he was a monk for 2 weeks, for instance, because he said, I did not feel the calling. I did not feel like this was something that was good. Or that I could, relate to or basically be a part of. But he did say that he has friends that he still keeps in touch with that have been monks for 30 years. And so he was...
Yeah, we had a couple of guides on my 2 trips over a short period of time there who were both ex-monks. They were monks longer than your guide, Ned.
Yeah.
And it was explained to us the same thing, that a lot of young people will go into it because it's a way to be educated. First of all, they take that, they do their 4, 5, 10 years even, or even longer, but on average 4 or 5 years. And then, as you say, they don't see it as a lifelong calling, and they step aside and become, now in our respective cases, guides or but yeah, they go back to normal life. Yeah, so I was just curious if that was just like a blip that we experience, or
Yeah, no,
it seems somewhat common.
yeah, apparently there's still about 350 to 400,000 monks in Thailand these days. So obviously it is not something to be, it's something that's still there and it's part of their traditions.
Yeah.
The one thing that was very interesting, for instance, the same guide was telling us that no, sorry, that was the guide in Bangkok who was telling us that while he had not been a monk, his dad, once he retired, when he was 60 or 65 or something like that, whenever he retired from working, he became a monk and died as a monk. So that's something that you can do at all ages. It's not necessarily something that you do at a young age, or not something that there's a certain sort of progression. I don't know, finish high school and then you become a monk and then you kind of so that's something that's done at all ages. Definitely very, very interesting. We had an opportunity in Bangkok to go for the morning chants, which was very, very interesting. And again, this is something that it is obviously very sacred to them. At the same time, it was a very interesting sort of ceremony because they recite all of the teachings from all of Buddha's teachings, and it was really interesting because they also take attendance at the end, which I didn't really think that was something, but there was a monk taking attendance because at that particular temple, apparently there's about 200 monks, and they are allowed 5 personal days, so to speak, per year, which is really cool because you can tell, and then obviously you can, if you're not there for the morning prayer, you can have a very good reason for that, but then there were a few monks that did not necessarily have a good reason for that. So you can tell that he was taking notes next to the attendance list, basically. Yeah. So I thought there was a very interesting process, because it also humanizes in a way the whole idea of being a monk, right? I think that you look at it and you still realize they're people, very, very friendly, very curious. Some of them, I remember we were in Chiang Mai and we had a visit at one of the oldest temples in Chiang Mai, a beautiful temple, by the way. And interestingly enough, there was a couple from Alberta, I believe, in Canada, and we were talking to them at some point, and then they were talking later on. We kind of walked around, and then later on we saw them talking to a couple of monks, young monks as well. So very, very interesting, right? Very different than what I think of monks when I think of, Christian monks. Very, very different attitude in a way. So that was definitely something interesting to see. Now going back to Bangkok again, beautiful, beautiful city. Saw the reclining Buddha, saw the royal palace. Like there's these things that you definitely must see and do.
The classics.
The classics, exactly. At the same time, for instance, we had a lovely ride through the canals. I'm not going to lie to you, questionable color of water at times on those canals, but it's one of those things. But we went to this beautiful, beautiful place called Pumjai Garden, which is a plot of land reclaimed basically from having been a garbage dump literally 10 years before to how it is right now, which is a beautiful garden where they grow numerous fruits and vegetables and spices and herbs and things like that, and everything is used to make the food that is prepared in the restaurant inside the garden. So really, really lovely place. We had a quick tour of the gardens with the lady who started the whole project about 10 years ago, and with the lady and with her daughter-in-law who now kind of runs the operation. The son of the owner is, the chef at the restaurant, and his wife, who is the daughter-in-law, basically, she showed us around the place. You can have a cooking lesson there on a private basis. You can also bring groups in there if that's something that you want to do. So they showed us around the facilities, and beautiful, beautiful place. And again, everything is basically done by, using the ingredients that are found in the garden. So it's It is a vegetarian, only sort of restaurant, but I can tell you, I did not feel the need for any sort of meat. The food was absolutely phenomenal. Um, Interestingly enough, the one thing that they were talking about was that is it lychees? Lychees? How do you pronounce it? I don't even know in England. I think
No, I'm
it's
not sure.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Not really.
Well, those the fruit that is in a sort of like a, it looks almost like the spiky sort of outer shell, and then inside you open them and they're
Oh,
really
okay.
nice. And
Yeah,
they
I know
have
what you mean, but
yeah,
I'm not sure on the pronunciation.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So interestingly enough, that was last time they had those was in 2017, and they were talking to us. It's because of global warming, because they were explaining to us that to have a harvest, they need apparently cold temperatures for about 10 days. And I mean, by cold temperatures, Thailand, we're talking about 15 degrees
Thailand,
Celsius.
yeah,
Yeah,
relative,
exactly.
yeah.
Thailand. We're like, yeah, I'd love to have a winter like that with 15 Celsius. But yeah, you need apparently at least 10 days with temperatures hovering around that temperature or that number. And apparently it hasn't happened in the last 8 years because of global warming. So that is something that they
Oh,
were very, very concerned about. But they were showing us photos from back in 2017 when they had the last harvest, and it was absolutely beautiful to see these trees full of these, lovely, lovely fruit. So that was definitely something that was a bit unexpected. I had no idea. I mean, I tasted them before, but I never really had any interest to sort of, follow the trail
where
and
they
see
came
where they
from,
come
yeah.
from. They come from the
Yeah.
they come from the grocery store. That's where they come from, right? Um,
Yeah,
so
that's quite a common thing with any type of food these days. That
exactly,
you go to the
right?
grocery store,
So
you
that
buy
was
it, but you have no idea how it got there.
exactly. So that was beautiful. So highly recommend doing that. And it's a beautiful sort of ride through the canals. We were at one point, we had this lady show up, and she was selling fresh coconuts. So we had coconut water, really, really beautiful. And then one of the other things that we were told is that when the canals that we were, going through were the canals that the Men with the Golden Gun, James Bond movie, obviously, was filmed in that area. And funny enough, I then came back home and I rewatched The Men with the Golden Gun. And it's interesting because you do see those canals, you do recognize those canals, you do recognize some of the places. So I thought that was actually really, really cool. To
But we also have to segue on that point that
yeah,
you also saw, was it in Phuket that you
yes,
went to another James Bond
James Bond
inspired
Island. Yeah,
site?
yeah. We'll
You want
get to
to
that. We'll get
expand
to
on
that
that?
in a second.
Oh, okay, so, okay. Good.
Yeah. No, it was again. I thought again, Bangkok is a massive city, but what really, really I appreciated, for instance, was that some of the travel advisors were asking about the floating markets. And interestingly enough, and I'm not trying to deflate anybody's, sort of like perception of the floating markets, but our guide said, listen, that is a sort of like almost like a tourist trap in a way, because the real markets that we go to would not be a floating market. Those floating markets are about an hour outside of Bangkok, actually. And we do take clients who want to go to the floating markets, but that's almost like set up for tourists. So that was
Yeah,
an
I was going to
interesting.
ask you.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you your impressions of the floating market. Like, it's a great photography
correct. Yes,
subject,
yes.
but as an experience, it's
So we did.
I did it
Yeah,
forever ago. Like when I was a
we did
kid,
not go.
we went
We
to
did not
Asia.
go. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't go at
No,
all?
no, we didn't go at all, and that's basically because,
Ah,
yeah, because we were one of the things that we were told was that, look, if you really want to experience, a market and go to where people buy their ingredients, buy their
locals go, yeah.
groceries, it's not a floating market. That's not where it's at. Obviously, you got
Yeah.
supermarkets, but if you really want to see something traditional, we were taken to a night market in the evening, and that was a lot more interesting, and again a lot more traditional,
Yeah, for sure.
authentic, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Okay,
then.
lots. Not gonna lie, lots of temples. That was one thing. It's almost like you think about it, but it's like, hey,
it's like Europe and the churches.
Exactly. Yeah. You go to Italy, you go to France, you go to Spain. Like you're gonna see a bunch of churches. There's no way around it. Similar to that was that, you're gonna see the Buddha and you're gonna see this temple and that temple. So definitely very interesting. You can see the Chinese influence there, and you can see the history of the country basically, and so. It's a very nice way of understanding more about the culture and about the history of the country through visiting some of these temples. And I thought that the guides did a great job without necessarily being overwhelming. We were also taken to the old Portuguese Quarter, which is a very, very quaint part of Bangkok on that note, because it is far from the hustle and bustle of the city. We walked the small streets, and there's no real Portuguese sort of people who still live there these days, but there was definitely the Portuguese, influence that you can see in the architecture, even in the cuisine, and there was always sort of like a traditional Portuguese, pastries or things like that. But then they had the Thai twist on that. So that was a very interesting, there was a very interesting few hours that we took on, I believe, our last full day in Bangkok, to kind of experience this part and again understand more about the cultural sort of aspect of Bangkok and the influences that are coming from all over the place. And again, just getting away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Yeah.
Bangkok is definitely overwhelming, from a sensory point of view. Naturally, it's the capital of the country. It's a huge city, as you mentioned. So from there, you headed north to Chiang Mai or Rai? I always get this mixed up. Mai?
Chiang Mai. Yes.
Now, I found when we went north, we did Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai on my trip forever ago. I found that anywhere outside of Bangkok is a complete difference. Like it's quieter, generally speaking. Even though there are big cities elsewhere in Thailand, I found that the overall vibe a bit more relaxed as well. So what were your impressions of Chiang Mai?
Definitely smaller in size, but still big. I thought the city itself was again a very interesting, how should I say, combination of various influences throughout the history. The history of Southeast Asia is very, very complicated, and I think that you would need a lot more than a visit to Thailand to understand what was happening in the region, from a historical perspective. But really interesting when we went to Chiang Mai, was the old town, which was a basically square, and you can still see some of the old walls there, which was, I think, really, really interesting. And then they kind of had like a moat around it. Obviously, the city has expanded past that, but when you are in the inner city, that's basically the sort of like the city center, so to speak. Lovely property that we stayed in Chiang Mai as well. It was the Shangri-La. Lovely, lovely rooms, lovely hospitality everywhere, and I think that people just in general are very, very friendly in Thailand, and I think that they were very welcoming everywhere, and they really genuinely want you to experience their country, to experience their destination. And while, tourism is obviously a big part of the economy in Thailand, I also believe that they are genuinely doing this because they like to welcome people into their into their country. They like to welcome people into their city. They like to highlight the features, so to speak, of their destination. And I absolutely enjoy that. I think it's a great way of doing things. Had an opportunity in Chiang Mai to again visit one of the night markets. I got to tell you, I was with a group of people that was not necessarily very adventurous from a culinary standpoint. Because I always thought like, okay, if we're gonna go to a night market, I gotta try the grasshoppers.
So they didn't try the crickets and the grasshoppers, right? Okay.
Funny enough, I did not see that. That's the funny thing. Like the most extreme foods in that night market, in that sort of street market that we saw, was like octopus and dried octopus and things like that, which I thought, well, okay, but that, I was looking for the tarantulas, I was looking for the and I
Yeah,
know
I'm sure. Like, I think we had, I think we had grasshoppers. I think we had ants as well.
yeah, no, I didn't
There
say
was some
anything.
other really weird stuff which was
Yeah,
sort of
I mean,
unidentifiable, but which we didn't try.
I had chicken heart skewers, but again, keep in mind,
Yeah,
I'm
you
Eastern
mentioned this,
European. Like this
and I
is
know you
something
say
that,
it's
yeah, it's like it's a muscle. It is a muscle. It's meat. It's okay. It's great. So yeah, yeah. So I mean, again, I kind of grew up with that type of stuff, right? With what is that? I think it's called offal. I don't know if you call it offal if it comes from a chicken. I think it's more so for the beef. Yeah, exactly. But
well,
anyway,
generally offal in English. Yeah,
exactly. You
offal
would
in
talk
English
about,
is the
yeah.
non-normal consumable meats.
Yes, but I think if you're talking about cows, not necessarily chicken. Um, yeah. Anyway, look, chicken hearts, love them. Again, I remember my grandmother, used to cook them for me all the time, so I had no problem trying them out. It was actually just kind of bringing back memories, if anything. So that
To
was
each their
cool.
own. To each
Yeah,
their own.
exactly. But yeah, just interesting city. Definitely had an opportunity, obviously, to go to an elephant sanctuary, and this was one of the big highlights for me. I think that this was something that I've always wanted to do, and again, you hear about it, and you understand once you get to this elephant sanctuary why they do things the way they do. So obviously, with elephants, it's still a big point of conversation in Thailand because there's wild elephants and then there's domestic elephants. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing of the African elephant versus the Asian elephant, but the Asian elephant is smaller in size. So you can definitely see the differences there in terms of
They got
the
smaller ears. There's
yeah,
an easy
exactly. They have smaller
identifier as
ears
well.
and things like that. Yeah, so definitely. But I mean, traditionally, they still use elephant for domestic purposes, much like, so for instance, I don't know, like in Eastern Europe, you would still use like an ox, you know, to pull like the plow, or a horse to pull the plow.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. And obviously it comes from like the, 17 and 1800s when the British came into Thailand looking for, wood and things like that. And that's when they started to use the elephants, let's say on a larger scale. Yeah, so definitely did that, which I thought was great. And we went to this elephant sanctuary called Chang Chil, and the difference between this and other sanctuaries is that in this particular sanctuary, you do not have direct contact with the elephants. You see the elephants, you can get up close to the elephants, but you do not touch them, you do not feed them, you do not bathe them, you certainly do not ride the elephants. So the whole point behind the concept is that they want the elephants to live as normal of a life as possible. And they had 5 elephants, all of them females. They were like, they need their space. So with the amount of land that we have and the amount of resources available to us, we cannot afford to have more than 5 elephants. And we certainly cannot afford to have a male elephant because then we end up with a bunch of baby elephants and then we get into other problems. But lovely,
Yes. Yeah.
lovely animals. We cut sugar cane for them, and we put them we put the pieces of sugar cane in a trough, and then the elephants came, and obviously they know this, right? So they came. I think it was around 1 o'clock when the elephants came, and they had a snack of sugar cane, and it was lovely to see them up close and personal. And we were told about the conservation efforts, and obviously there's about 1,000 elephant sanctuaries all over Thailand. So there is definitely a big movement right now in a way to save and rescue the elephants from still being utilized as animals, for work purposes. And these again, the 5 elephants that we saw were rescued elephants from certain households basically in the area. Some of people still use them as pets apparently. So it's a very interesting and very delicate topic of conversation in Thailand because again traditionally, this has been regarded as as an animal that is used for work purposes. It's kind of like the crane and the whatever else sort of like machine you can think of, for the jungle. So that was definitely interesting to see. And we spoke to people in Thailand who were like, oh, I took my son to ride an elephant for the first time, and these were Thai people. And we're like, you get it because it's in their tradition. You get it because it is, again, part of their culture and who they are. You also understand that it is exploiting the animals. So obviously that brings me to the point of the fact that we have at Goway recently introduced a new policy when it comes to animal welfare, and this has been spearheaded by Bronwyn Hodge, who's our VP for Africa and the Middle East. And obviously we are not doing anything with any outfit anywhere in the world that will exploit the animals in any way, shape, or form. And that is, I believe, one of the things that moving forward you'll see more and more in our communication. And it is something, honestly, that I'm really, really proud of. Because if you think about it, there's all sorts of animals all over the world being exploited for tourism purposes. And I think that's something that should stop.
Not only for tourism purposes, just being exploited in general.
In general, correct. Yeah.
So,
if we can do our part.
As Adesh mentions, we've undertaken a new philosophy. Well, not a new philosophy. We're updating our philosophy, becoming a bit more poignant on our decision making in respect to product. But so what Adesh interacted with, the product that is, I guess the easiest way to describe it is if it doesn't interfere with the natural life of the animal in question,
correct,
then it's okay. Now, it's a learning journey for all of us. We're learning, Goway's learning, the communities are learning as well. They're seeing the benefits of not exploiting animals, etc. So that's just a sort of overall descriptor of Goway's new philosophy when it comes to animal interactions, sanctuaries, zoos, which we don't like to use that word anymore, or interact with zoos anymore. Cool. And you obviously get that situation in Africa with elephant encounters, with other wildlife encounters. So
correct.
Just a bit of a clarification there. So
no, and thank you for that, Don, because I think it's you've put it right, and I think it's very important for people to understand that there's a reason why we're doing these things, and obviously we want to make sure that no animal is harmed or being exploited for any sort of purposes. And again, we are doing everything that we can to right now vet all of the companies and all of the suppliers that we work with to make sure that they adhere to this policy that we have implemented. And it's like you said,
and that also extends to cultural interactions with people as well. It's not just animals, but it's a philosophy you're expanding on and being very particular about, again, with cultural interactions as well.
Correct.
Sorry. Okay, so we can both get off a little soapbox there. So for the sake of time, you then went from the north. So Thailand, generally speaking, 3 different areas: the center, Bangkok. You go to the north, Chiang Mai in your case, and then people will head to the south to the many thousands of beaches. And you went into Phuket. So
that is correct. Yes.
Give us a little rundown there of your experience in Phuket.
I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I really think that it would be a great spot to take the family on vacation. Obviously, there's many areas in Phuket. So, depending on what your preference is, you can go to a livelier area or you can go to an area that's more family friendly. The beaches are fantastic. The hundreds of islands that are in the area are spectacular. And I think that, taking, for instance, a day trip like we did on a longboat to go and visit some of these islands is the perfect way to experience the destination. Speaking of longboats, I forgot to mention this, but when we were in Bangkok, when we were in Bangkok, for instance, on the canals, the longboat that we were on was a solar powered longboat. And so, again, that's just part of the effort of, trying to be environmentally friendly, because traditionally those longboats run on these massive engines. They almost look like, I don't know, massive diesel engines. I don't know where they come from, seriously. And some of them have definitely seen better days. But
talk about environment. This is one thing Thailand does need to look at. They need, because we were on a beach. I can't remember its name. It's one of the famous beaches in the south. Again, I have a horrible memory. For those watching, sorry to interrupt here. For those watching the podcast, my camera is just overheated, so I'm recharging it. So that's why you're seeing a black screen. For those listening, it doesn't make any difference. But yeah, we experience every morning all those longboats that come into, I can't remember, it'll come to where we were staying, and I have to admit it was disappointing because the noise, as you mentioned.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, they don't be very efficient. You know, that's the one thing. They don't
seem very efficient at all.
So there's definitely a lot of noise and a lot of a lot of smoke coming out of those things. And I'm thinking, there's probably a better way of doing this. You know, I mean, my 3.5 horse outboard that I have on my small boat is actually a lot more efficient and probably faster than those massive things. But anyway, that was a solar power boat. Now, when we went to Phuket, that was just a regular, long boat. But interestingly enough, it was a nice, very well sort of like appointed one. Had a toilet on board. So there was definitely something that we really enjoyed. And we took this beautiful sort of boat ride. Went, like you mentioned, to the James Bond Island. Must admit, I don't want to say disappointing, but yes, it is a national park, so they can't really do anything to it. So, but the problem was there were lots and lots of people. There's some vendors there on the island that are selling all sorts of like kitsch things that somehow have, connection to James Bond. I was hoping that I would see, a bit more in relation to the movie, maybe some props, maybe some memorabilia, maybe something that would, say, hey, this is where this scene happened, things like that. But again, overall, it's a beautiful place, so you cannot really say anything bad about it, right? And there's those iconic, rocks that come out of the water, and everybody takes photos with those. So definitely, really, really nice. And then our guide, lovely guide, by the way, female guide, she took us to this island to have a picnic. And this is, again, something that everybody does. This is not something that we try to wow our travel advisors or anything like that. This is something that we offer, and I think it's a great experience. So it's a picnic. The guide comes with the lunches, and obviously we can accommodate for vegetarian and vegan options and gluten-free and all sorts of things like that. So not a problem. You just have to let us know in advance. But we had a lovely picnic on a beach on this island where we were basically the only people at the time. And so we went for a swim, went for a walk. It was really, really lovely. And then I think my favorite part of the whole day was the fact that at one point there's 2 more boats that show up with clients to have picnics, on the same beach. And again, keep in mind, this is a lovely, lovely beach. There's, coconut trees and palm trees and all sorts of things like that. So it's a beautiful, beautiful beach. It's not really like the beaches in Cancun where you don't see really anything. It's just sand. So this is a beautiful place. And so we're having this picnic lunch in the shade. And then our guide comes and says, hey, my friend who's a guide as well, she's here with a couple, and they are Goway clients. So I thought, this is super, super cool. Like, what are the chances, right?
What are the chances?
So I went, funny enough, so there were 2 couples actually, and I first kind of went to the wrong couple because I didn't really understand which couple the guide was pointing to. And then she called me back and she's like, no, not those guys. So thank God I didn't go and started talking to the wrong people, because I probably would have freaked them out. But then I did go and speak to this lovely couple who are on their honeymoon. They were from the Perry Sound area. They had a fabulous time.
Canadians, no less.
Canadians, exactly. Hey, it gets better, actually. But they were on a 3-week trip through Southeast Asia. So they were going from Thailand to Vietnam and Vietnam to Cambodia. So they were, again, on their honeymoon. And they had a fabulous time. A bit of self-promotion here because they had absolutely nothing bad to say about their experience thus far. They love the fact that they got picked up at the airport, and then the services and everything, transfers and hotels and everything were lovely. And this is the one thing that I really liked because this is something that they said. He wanted, for instance, to go to a Thai boxing match, and she had absolutely no interest in doing that. So she went to a spa that day. He went to a Thai boxing match. So these are the kinds of things that we can offer for the clients, and we can customize all of that. So if there's one thing that, certain clients or a certain party of that group wants to do, we can definitely accommodate for that. So it was super, super fun. But the cherry on top was the fact that not only were they from Ontario, from Parry Sound, but they actually had booked to one of my agents, from one of the accounts
really?
that I
the complete
that I
circle,
look at.
the
So
circle of travel life.
Absolutely perfect. That was perfect. But I also thought, and with the risk of becoming a bit philosophical here, and I had mentioned this, if you remember, during the Africa Roadshow. This is, I think, why we do this. This is, I think, to me, the best reward. Obviously, nobody does, jobs pro bono in a way, but I believe that when you see things like that, when you meet two people at the other side of the world who are having the time of their life and who are, experiencing a destination that they always wanted to go to, and you help them, I think that is just phenomenal. I just honestly think that is the best thing that can happen, and it's the biggest compliment that anybody in the travel industry can.
No, 100%. And I think I think our buddy Mr. Steve Spurlock, he often uses the line is selling dreams, and
Yes.
It's true. And I remember this as a tour guide as well. I had to always remember, well, not always had to remember, but tell myself that each trip might have been a repeat for me, because you go back and forth.
Correct.
The same areas. But for the people on the truck or on the vehicle we were on, that was the first time, maybe the last time. And at the end of the day, all the sales before, wherever they bought their trip from, that's all good. You need good service, which Goway offers, and obviously our travel partners out there as well do. But at the end of the day, it's the delivery in country that's going to make the true difference. And if you have bad experiences, be it a guide or whatever it may be, then the dream, like that lifelong ambition to go to wherever it was, in your case, Thailand, can be destroyed. So
exactly,
it is, as you say, like we're in it, it's business to make money, but the business is not only to make money, it is to, quote Mr. Spurlock, sell those dreams and make those dreams as perfect as they can be.
Correct. And I think that you hit the nail in the head with that one, because, and this is something that I always say in my presentations and when I talk to travel advisors, is that at the end of the day, as travel advisors or as people who work in the travel industry, our job is a lot more important than we sort of think it is, because we think, yes,
100%.
It's the disposable income, but it's exactly because it is the disposable income. It is because we are, at the end of the day, competing against all sorts of other options that clients might have, to spend, and ways of spending their money. At the end of the day, they trust us with their hard-earned money and, with their future memories. And I think that's something that I never want to take for granted.
Key.
Because I think that is key. That is key. If they remember the time that they had when they walked that beach, that couple, for instance, when they had that lovely picnic and they were walking hand in hand because they were on their honeymoon, and they had a great time with us in Southeast Asia, that's something that they will remember for a lifetime. And again, the fact that we made that happen, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And so, yeah, that was the best part of the trip for me, definitely. I felt really, really, excited and proud at the same time, because I thought this is why we do this. And I just thought it was phenomenal. It was honestly one of the best experiences of my life. More so than, going to any of these places that you might have dreamed about. You see it through their eyes, and I think it's just phenomenal. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm getting off my soapbox now again. I just thought it was.
No, that's fine, because because again, that's what I often think about it in my past life as a travel guide, that hopefully I had a positive impact on people.
Correct.
On their experiences wherever they were, and it's an experience that has a small or large impact on their life. So,
correct.
Selling travel is not just about making money; it is about literally potentially changing people's lives. So on that note, let's wrap it up just for the sake of time.
Sure.
So let me ask you this. I would assume that reality, what's the way to put it? expectations were
Expectations
met
versus
when
reality.
you went to Thailand?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Thailand was obviously a place that has touched you, albeit apart from meeting your, the Goway clients, but as a destination, it's a place that has left an impact.
Yeah.
I would naturally assume it's a place that you would, and I actually liked your introduction, a soft introduction to Southeast Asia. So did you feel that was the case?
Definitely, yes. Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, there's places that are commercialized. There's places, I mean, walking around, for instance, Phuket at some point, there's an Irish pub and, no disrespect, but there's an Irish pub everywhere these days. And I'm always thinking like, why the hell would I want to go to an Irish pub in Phuket? That's the last thing that I want to do, right? There's so many other places that I can grab a drink and grab a bite to eat from. So those kinds of places you will see. But at the end of the day, I'll tell you what, I always rank destinations, and this is a very personal thing for me. I always rank destinations based on, would I want to come back with my family? Would I take my family there? Would I take my kids there? Is this some place that I would recommend? Are the things that we have done things that I would want my family to experience? And the overwhelming, let's say, answer is yes, definitely. I would love to go back to Thailand. I think it is a great destination. I think what we did and the way we did it was fantastic. Again, if you are into, more of the sort of like cultural, historical part of things, then, you can go to Bangkok, you can go to Chiang Mai, you can go to all of these places. If you're looking to just go and chill and relax on the beach, then obviously Phuket is fantastic. I mean, the hotel that we stayed at in Phuket was just mind-blowingly beautiful. The pavilions was just beautiful. And then because I am a bit of a music sort of lover, and I love my house music and things like that, there is a Café Del Mar bar not far from the hotel. So that was one of the things that if you're born in the 80s and if you've listened to your music in the 90s and early 2000s, you know about Café Del Mar, you know about the series of CDs. And so, the fact that there was a bar there, didn't get an opportunity to go, but man, I would love to. And so, I think Thailand again offers something for everybody. And again, it's a place that I would definitely, take my family to in a heartbeat.
Yeah, for sure. It's a place that I've been lucky enough to visit a couple of times recently. First time was a fam with Goway, and much of my experience is very similar to yours. Beautiful country, very welcoming country. It is called the Land of Smiles, and the people, it is probably one of the most popular destinations in Southeast Asia. Yeah. There are areas which are hitting the over-touristed sort of parameter, but at the same time, there are so many beautiful unhidden or hidden gems still to be discovered. And then the second time I went down was for a wedding, and took two of our boys with us. And again, it was, from a family point of view, it was awesome. And you've got everything, as you mentioned, from beautiful 5-star down to backpacker type styles of accommodation, public transport, private transport. We always recommend private transfers.
Yes.
Private guided. It's awesome. So on that note, Radesh, thank you for your time. Really appreciate the before and after perspective. For all those watching the podcast, thank you.
When
for
are
those
you
watching
back?
the podcast,
when are you back?
please, when am I back? In 3 weeks.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, because you're going to come right at the beginning of winter. Well, mind you, I think beginning of winter is actually Sunday. But
we head into the Christmas time, which is always pretty.
Exactly.
So for those watching the podcast, I apologize for the camera going black. I also apologize. You would have seen some people in the background there. I'm actually having the condo clean in preparation for my wife's arrival.
Exactly.
Wife and friends, actually. So
Don cannot use a vacuum cleaner as well. You've been married long enough to know that you cannot use a vacuum cleaner. I can. Well, not according to your wife, because I can't use one according to my wife either. So.
Oh, no. I can use it. No, I actually spent the first part of the week here because the condo hadn't been used for a while. So I just, my basic cleaning, and our front entrance floor had lifted up, so we had to get that fixed. So now we're getting the ladies in for a complete thorough clean.
You're a good
preparation for my wife and friends tomorrow. We'll see. Okay. Radesh, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. And everyone out there, as always, thank you for listening in. We appreciate it. And until next time.
Cheers.